It is my honor to present this award, Waziristan 1901 British India General Service Medal, presented by our chairman Lakshmi to Vivek Anand Oberoi.
It's a pleasure to have Vivek Oberoi. Our next guest is one of the most well-known and well-loved people in India. He has been a huge beacon of inspiration for the youth in India as well as across the world. A pleasure to have you at stage, Vivek.
Thank
Welcome
you.
to Good Talks.
Thank you. Thank you, Lakshmi.
Vivek has got a great inspiration story, as well as he has a lot of things. If you go into Google search, you will find him enough information about him. He is known for both sides. What inspires me is how he handles the critics. So I want to start the first question to Vivek. How do you handle critics and controversies?
Well, the controversies part, I just laugh them off. I think 21 years into a very public life and a career, I realized very early that most of the controversies are just rubbish and really contribute to nothing. So you laugh it off and don't give it too much value, and it dies in the news cycle. You have a little bit of excitement in your publicity team, your PR team, and that's it. But the critics, it's a little different. If I find that the critics are creatively or positively criticizing something that could help me improve my art, or criticizing something that can have some sort of a positive contribution to my journey as an artist, I receive that very well. In fact, I welcome that. If I get a bad review, I'm one of those actors that will probably call up a critic and take them out to dinner and lunch and post the review and say, yes, tell me more. Tell me what I did wrong. Tell me what I could do better. And I think that's the journey of constant learning and improving. And for being a good artist, I think just being a good businessman too, you have to have humility, because without humility, you can never learn.
Everybody gets ideas. Everybody wants to do something, and it's very common, we all came across. Most of the times, we even, after somebody did something, we said, oh, I should have done it. What matters is when you do something at that moment. So Vivek did something extraordinary when the tsunami hit India, and extraordinary. And I can say he was one of the first respondent on somebody who is a popular or a celebrity or somebody who is a well-known figure, respondent without thinking, a click of the moment. I want you to share that, what you did, why it happened for you in that moment for you.
So Lakshmi, I think for me it was crazy, because I remember it was Christmas, New Year's, it was party season. I came back home literally at 4 or 5 in the morning from a party, and how we do nowadays, before you go to bed, you flick the television on, you see what's going on, and I suddenly saw the news that a tsunami had hit southern India, and there was absolute devastation. And I just couldn't go to bed, because on the western coast in Mumbai, I live right by the ocean. And I was thinking that if this had happened to my home, this had happened to my city, would I be okay with people just switching off the TV and going back to bed? And that bothered me, and I couldn't go back to bed. I waited for more information. I called a few journalist friends, and I said, is it as bad as, it's on TV? And they're like, it's worse. And then the same day, 48 hours within the same day of it happening, I decided I have to do something. I didn't know what, but it was enough for me to know that I was motivated enough to do what it takes. So I flew to Chennai without a plan, and I went and met the administration, and I said, okay, what's going on? How can I help? And they said, well, there's a list of, things that we need. This is relief, this is supplies, medication, first aid, blankets. And this just gave me this random list. And I was like, okay, how do I organize all of this? And then I walked in literally into one of the biggest colleges, university campuses there. And there was this swarm of kids who wanted pictures, who just came up to me and said, photograph, and we want autographs. And I was like, I'll give everybody a picture, but you have to help me on this mission. We have to put this together. And it was so amazing how it worked. I mean, I believe in this, that everyone in our heart has goodness. All we need is a spark. We need someone to give us that call to action. And if we feel we can contribute a little bit in a movement, you create something that's beautiful. So many people got together. Thousands of kids got together. They called their friends. And we needed maybe a truckload of supplies. In 24 hours, we had 14 truckloads of supplies. We had 14. And I was like, okay, what do we do next? And they said, well, these are the affected villages. And I said, which is the most affected village? It was Kadlur. And I decided to go there. And they said, but where are you going to stay? I was like, I don't know. Where's everybody else staying? There's no places to live. There's devastation everywhere. But I knew I had to get there. It was so incredible because I literally sat in one of those trucks and left. So many of the kids who were volunteers decided to come along with me, boys, girls, everybody. We landed there and without sleep, without rest, we started doing relief operations. We started helping people. And the look on the faces of the locals that we had arrived, that we weren't administration, we weren't government, we were just outsiders coming in from everywhere, pouring in to help in their hour of need. That to me was so intensely satisfying. And what started as just a spark became a movement. And within days, we created Project Hope. I pitched a tent on the beach, literally lived there amongst, everybody else in the devastated village. But we turned things around so incredibly fast. And what was supposed to be a 2 or 3 day visit ended up being 9 months living in a village on a beach, rebuilding that village. And by bringing in people through my network, by bringing in the best architects, by bringing in the best town planners and saying, can you contribute to this? We created a best practices story. And it was so amazing that when that started, people started coming from all over and said, we'll take on the next village. We like the model. We'll do this. And the whole idea was I created a lateral project. So we would have requirements and we'd just place them there. And people would say, I can do that. I can do that. Companies, individuals, everybody was treated the same. There was so much equanimity. And when there's equanimity, people find ownership, stakeholdership. And they find stakeholdership, they're there to see it through. They don't just write you a check and say, I'm done, I did my bit. They see it through. They're involved. It belongs to them. And that to me became the magic mantra of making that a success story. And we ended up doing the rehabilitation of 3 villages. They became the first 3 smart villages in India. And the ripple effect of it was hundreds of villages around in the region that were badly hit suddenly had more people coming and saying, we can do that. And it was kind of like an open platform where we shared our experiences, we shared the good, the bad, and we said, don't make these mistakes. These are the best practices. And that helped a lot of people not make the mistakes that we did. And that helped the people that were affected in the long term. So that was the kind of snowball effect it had, and it was one of the best experiences of my life.
If you haven't been an actor, what?
Oh, I don't know. So many things. When I was a kid, I wanted to be a scientist and cure death. Little ambition. So I've always wanted to do something that created some sort of positive social impact. I always wanted to contribute. And I think that comes in from a deep sense of values that I was brought up with. But yeah, I think I'm just so happy and blessed to be an actor because in a way I can fulfill almost every fantasy being an actor, right? I can play that role at least for a limited amount of time. I could be a doctor, I could be a scientist, I could be a supervillain. I can do anything that I want. So it's a great feeling being an actor.
So I always believe some of the successful leaders, or most of the successful leaders, carry a strong philosophy. One philosophy. It's ahimsa, the philosophy made what Mahatma Gandhi, equality made Nelson Mandela or Martin Luther King, charity made Mother Teresa, do you have one single mental philosophy?
I don't think I have a single word or a central, piece. But I believe in something that is deeper. I believe in something that is a human fabric, right? That we're all interconnected. And somewhere growing up in a family where I was born to a wealthy, successful movie star, lived in the Beverly Hills of Mumbai in Juhu, had this huge palatial house. And yet the exposure and values that I was brought up with was my mom and dad every weekend would have kids from Mumbai slums, 40, 50 of them coming in, and that they would teach the kids, mom and dad would take turns teaching the kids life skills, values, math, English, little things like that. And then we would feed them lunch, a big nutritious meal that was cooked in the kitchen in our house. And we were given the duty to bring in the plates, to place it, to serve the kids, made sure that they all ate. And then my sister and I had to clean up after the kids left. And that was every weekend. And I think as I grow up, I started appreciating it a lot more. Back then it was a chore. It was like, oh God, it's Saturday, Sunday, I have to do all of this again. But seeing that, and it's so incredible that so many years later, decades later, I meet some of those kids who've now grown up into adults, who've now made something of their lives. And when they come back and they tell you, I remember those days, and we used to be hungry, we used to wait for the weekend to have a decent meal, I realized what it meant to them. Those were the values that I was brought up with at home. So to me, I think it's not about what you do. It's about who you are that defines yourself. And nothing can define yourself better than your purpose. And the beauty of life is that you get to define your own purpose, each one of us.
If you had to choose between money and fame, what would you choose?
Fame, because where there's fame, there's money.
It's a movie star's answer, right? Huh? So if you have to choose between having fun, when I say the way of fun is said partying, whole night out and everything, sitting at home, what would you choose?
Oh man, home any day. I've had my fair share.
Is it because of the age?
Yeah, I think so. I'm growing old. I've had my fair share of partying, and I enjoy it every once in a while, but being home, being with my kids, being with my family, because I run a busy life. I'm traveling so much, I'm doing so much, and those moments are precious when I can be at home with my friends, my family. I believe intimate gatherings are the most precious ones. Meeting at a party is all fun. Having a big grand party is all fun. It becomes logistics. It becomes, throwing a party. Who do I invite? How is everything okay? It's pretty much like you're running this operation right now. You haven't slept in 3 days. But when you have an intimate gathering, you have a group of friends just sitting, conversation. I think that's truly enriching. Most parties you drink so much at night that you forget what happened the night before. But those conversations at home, those are special. Those are memory makers.
I would like to have some few questions, but I want a firing answer from you.
Okay.
Without thinking, right?
Rapid rounds.
Rapid round. If you have all the money in the world, what would you do?
Ooh.
2 words, quick.
Donate 98% of it.
To who? To me? To your wife?
I have so many causes, man.
Give me one.
So many causes.
Here is my money goes in.
Primarily, education. Every kid in this world deserves a good quality education because that's teaching a man to fish.
If you have to choose one city to live rest of your life, which city would you choose?
One city to live in the rest of my life?
Yes. From today, one city, which city would like choose?
Oh boy, that's a tough one. Goa.
Why Goa?
Because it's Goa. When you say it, you smile.
If you have to eat one type of a food rest of your life, what food would you choose?
One type of food?
Yes. That's it, you get daily the same food.
What kind of horror movie am I in? I'm a foodie, man. I love food. That's torture. One type of food would be my mom's bisibele, which is a South Indian dish that she cooks. I think that's the only, that's the one thing that no matter how hard I'm working on a movie, what diet, what workout regimen, when bisibele is on the table, all bets are off. Then it's carb loading and cheat day, no matter what day it is.
If you have been given an opportunity to inspire a few thousand kids in the front of you, what would you tell them in 2 minutes as a story? How do you inspire them in a couple of minutes?
Well, in a couple of minutes, I'd inspire them by saying, never take no for an answer, because that's how I got where I am. I didn't take no for an answer. Never allow people to tell you what you can and cannot be. Dream big always. It's great to dream big. Whatever you desire, make sure you deserve what you desire in your own right, in your own eyes. Just work towards that.
If you are a balanced human being, you should have emotions.
True.
How do you handle the toughest emotions for you, or what is your toughest emotions? Other than your love, what do you say? Not the positive side, I would like to handle the negative side. Anger, depression,
Yeah. So
anxiety.
I think when I worked on the ground a lot, right? When I worked early stages, when I was creating Project Devi, and I was there in front of these girls that I had to rescue, whether they were,
Can you a little bit elaborate about Devi?
Sure. So I had this life-changing experience, 2008. I was in Vrindavan, a small town in India, and I was in prayer in a temple. And it's funny how the divine works. I was standing in front of the Lord, and I was thinking, like every greedy human being on earth, what should I ask for? More money, more fame, more movies. And then I just had this moment, this epiphany, where I looked and I said, but I've already been given so much. And I was just in gratitude, and I had tears in my eyes, and I said, give me a chance to serve. I want to serve. Because you've given me so much, I want to serve. I walked out of the temple, trying to get into the car. My security is clearing people, getting into my cavalcade. And I see this man just reach out to me and says, I need your help. And typically, wealthy people believe help equals money. Put my hand in my pocket to grab my wallet, to give him some money. And he said, I don't need your money. I need your help. And I realized I need to listen to this man. And he said, here are these girls. If we don't save them tonight, by tomorrow morning, they'll be sold into child prostitution or forced labor. And I thought it was a bad Bollywood script. I was like, this doesn't happen. So close to the capital. And he said, it's right here, a few kilometers from where you are standing right now. And that was a moment of reckoning for me, to walk the talk. Do I really want to do it? And I'm crazy enough too. So the security guys refused. They said, you cannot, we have to get back to the hotel. I was like, no, I'm going. And we went there, and it was a life-changing moment for me. And that experience of seeing 33 kids in a room smaller than half this stage, tin roofs, tin walls, only perforations in the tins for air and light, living there, eating there, defecating there, being treated worse than you would treat animals, being sold off. And the oldest was 13 and the youngest was 5. And those are the moments where rage happens. But rage cannot do good. You have to convert rage into something constructive. You can get angry, you can scream and shout, but it's not going to solve a problem. So I converted that rage into something productive and constructive, and I said, I'm going to be here, and I'm going to save these kids, and I'm going to do whatever I can in my capacity, not some sort of hero complex, but this needs to be done. Someone needs to do it. We managed to get most of the kids back to their families and homes over the next 3 days, but there was still 16, 17 kids that we just couldn't. They didn't know where they came from. They were too young. One of the parents blew my mind, Lakshmi. We found one of the parents, and I said, how can you do this? And I was judgmental, and I was like, how can you do this to your own daughter? How can you sell her for a few thousand rupees? And you know what? He looked me glass-eyed in the face and said, I had two options. I can't feed her, so she's going to die. If I sell her, at least the person who's investing to buy her will at least feed her and she'll stay alive. And that moment, my judgment dropped. I was like, oh my God, things are so much worse than, we understand them. It's easier to judge, but very difficult to walk there in their shoes. So we started Project Devi, and then that snowballed, again, collaborative, brought a lot of people. People loved the idea. They said, I want to be a part of it. Corporates came in, started sponsoring kids. Before you know it, 15,000 girls, free food, free education, free healthcare, institution built, empowerment. And so many of those kids have now gone overseas. Some of them are studying here in the UK, some of them in the US, taken up jobs. And the common thread across this army of 15,000 incredible girls is they all want to give back. And that, I think, is the best investment, the best karmic investment I ever made.
You are We extend our gratitude to Vivek for sharing such an insightful journey throughout his life. I accept he is an inspiration. I believe everyone accept him as an inspiration. At the age of 46, he has done a great wonders in his life. It has been a great pleasure having you in Good Talks. Ladies and gentlemen, Vivek Oberoi, thank you so much.